Madam Chairperson, Excellencies, distinguished participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor to be given the privilege to address the third global platform for disaster risk reduction. First of all, I wish to, on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, express my profound appreciation to the United Nations for convening this global meeting for us to assess strides made in reducing risks in our respective countries. May I also use this platform to commend all member countries for their continuous efforts towards disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Madam Chairperson, Ghana is prone to natural and man-made disasters, including floods, earthquakes, domestic, industrial, and bushfires, rain and windstorm, disease, epidemics, pest and insect infestations. The causes of these disasters include climate change, rapid urbanization, rapid population growth, environmental degradation, and so on. The nature and frequency of these disasters is changing at an alarming rate. As a result of climate change, weather-related disasters are increasing in intensity. Our country has suffered from excessive rainfall leading to overflow of our major water bodies. For example, for the first time in 20 years, the level of the Akosombo Dam Reservoir, which provides electricity to Ghana and its neighboring West African countries, including Benin and Togo, rose to 274.8 feet, close to the maximum of 278 feet in 2010. Regions which have communities either close to the Volta River or lying along the path of the river towards the south of the hydroelectric power generator in the country were flooded by the spill. In 2010, over 377,652 people were internally displaced due to the floods. The 2010 floods was one of the most severe catastrophes Ghana has ever had to face and a good test for disaster preparedness and response. The devastation caused by the floods was unprecedented in view of the fact that some areas which were affected by the Akosombo spillage had already been hit by floodwaters from the Bagri and Kopengia dams in neighboring Burkina Faso. According to the Volta River Authority, there is a 20 to 30% chance of a spillage next year if the rainfall patterns continue. Madam Chairperson, in line with the Hyogo framework of action, the government of Ghana has demonstrated its commitment to ensuring that the mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction in its overall development agenda is given prominence. The need for this drive has become even more necessary now that the country has achieved middle-income status. The need, therefore, to sustain the economic gains cannot be overemphasized. Again, at a time that the country is set to produce oil, it is imperative to ensure that all possible risks are identified and steps taken to reduce their impacts. Disaster risk reduction is now among the key factors in considering good governance and sustainable development. To this end, several key disaster risk reduction initiatives have been undertaken with the aim of building the resilience of communities to disasters. They include the following. In terms of a policy framework, in pursuance of its commitment to ensuring that disaster risk reduction is rooted in the national fabric, the government of Ghana has strengthened the disaster management system in the country. This is being done through new legislation that will make the disaster management system more proactive. For example, the proposed new law seeks to establish a disaster management fund to manage disasters effectively and efficiently. A national disaster risk reduction policy has been developed, validated, and adopted by disaster management stakeholders. The purpose of the policy is to ensure that all public institutions and non-governmental institutions factor disaster risk reduction into their individual organizational planning, budgeting, and operations. The DRR policy seeks to enjoin the local governments to take ownership of DRR and support such programs and issues by means of budgetary allocation, bylaws, and the incorporation into development initiative. In response to the UN's recommendation for nations to establish platforms for disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation, the Republic of Ghana launched its national platform on May 2006. Apart from the national platform, the country has established sub-national platforms in 9 out of the 10 administrative regions of Ghana. The government plans to establish district platforms in all the 170 districts in the country. In terms of building gender-responsive culture on disaster risk reduction, women and children who are affected most when disaster strikes have been recognized in this development. In an effort to sensitize and increase women's understanding of the disaster risk reduction, the National Disaster Management Organization, in collaboration with Abantu for Development, with support from the United Nations Development Program, organized regional fora on the theme promoting gender responsiveness in disaster risk management. These fora were organized in all the 10 regions. In conclusion, Ghana has developed the National Climate Change Adaptation Strategy document. The strategies, among others, touch on water resources management, energy, health, agriculture, afforestation, and coastal zone protection. We, however, have challenges. The challenges include inadequate funding for efforts to create congenial environment to support DRR. Ghana has already developed an action plan for which we seek partnership in order for us to meet the outcome of the HFA to reduce loss of life. Madam Chairperson, as we build our individual countries' resilience, we must also ensure regional resilience as well as global resilience. This, though, places an enormous challenge on us. However, we must remain undaunted and focused. It is my conviction that with a unified commitment and self-determination to make the world a better place, we shall succeed. Thank you.